You take that back.
Took it back.
We're best friends.
We're best friends. Hi, that's Carleigh, and I'm Michelle, and we're best friends. In recent years, we've both struggled with getting the medical help we needed. Often, as plus-size people, our medical needs are dismissed as being weight-related. We're here to say that that's not necessarily the case. I have hypothyroidism,
and I have type 2 diabetes. As a plus-size person, nobody's really surprised about that. But that's because we only understand type 2 diabetes as a fat disease.
Mm-hmm.
But it is way more than that. Diabetes, for people who don't know, is related to the way your body either creates or uses insulin. For me, I have type 2 diabetes, so my body doesn't use insulin properly. Somebody who has type 1 diabetes, their body doesn't create insulin or create enough insulin. Type 2 diabetes is insulin-resistant diabetes. What that means is my pancreas makes enough insulin, but my insulin receptors don't work properly. Some of them don't work at all. Some of them work better than others. But it means that not enough insulin is getting absorbed by my body. Because my insulin is not being absorbed properly, my body thinks that I'm not eating enough. It's going, we need more sugars and we need it now. And so when I was unmedicated, I was constantly hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I was eating every 30 minutes to every hour and a half because my body was craving food. That definitely contributed to my weight gain. And it turns out that my body has been diabetic for a long time. In 2009, I had blood work done, and my blood work, my A1C, which is the way that they diagnose diabetes now, my A1C was at 5.7. 5.7 to 6.4 is considered pre-diabetic. At that point, there was no mention to me about being pre-diabetic. There was no conversation about what being pre-diabetic meant. There was no conversation about how to change anything. In 2016, I had more blood work done. At that point, my A1C was 8.3. That puts me solidly in the diabetic range. Pre-diabetes is reversible. If you get your eating in check, if you start exercising, all that stuff, you can reverse it and you can make your insulin receptors work properly. Once you get above 6.5 in your A1C, it's no longer reversible. You can get your A1C lower, but you will always have diabetes at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The medical institution failed me in 2016 because with my A1C at what it was, I should have been told that I was diabetic, and I was not. So that meant that I went 6 years being diabetic and not knowing because I wasn't diagnosed until June 2022. That to me is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
The whole host of symptoms that I had that I didn't realize were diabetes symptoms, even with my brother and my cousins being diabetic, things that I didn't realize were diabetes symptoms that I had spoken to my doctors about, none of it was put together. To be completely fair, my doctor has changed frequently. I've always been with the same practice, but the doctor has changed. I've had 5 doctors in the last 12 years. 13 years, actually. 5 doctors in the last 13 years. So that means 2 of those doctors have failed me. I went to the doctors in May of 2022, the beginning of May 2022, for a couple of reasons. The main reason that I thought I had diabetes was because I have ropey skin on the back of my neck, and my armpits are discolored, and in a few other different creases in my body. I had been researching this because I was embarrassed by it. You can see on like the side of my neck is discolored as well. And I was like, this is super embarrassing. Like, what is happening here? I tried scrubbing it. Like, I tried all these different ways to get rid of it. And I researched it, and it is called this. I can't say it. And I'm just going to butcher it if I try. And there are two main causes for this. Diabetes or a liver tumor. Now, I had the ropey skin on my neck for a couple of years at that point, but about a year before I went to the doctor for diabetes is when it started becoming discolored, really discolored, and that I started noticing it. That's the other thing too. It's on the back of your neck, so you don't see it all that often, right? And my husband doesn't think anything of it. And, people who see it don't comment on it because you shouldn't comment on other people's bodies. But it's one of those situations where it's like, maybe if somebody had said something, I would have recognized it sooner. So there was that. And then knowing that my brother has diabetes, my cousins and all that, then I was like, I should go and check this out. So I went and I just was like, I want to talk about having diabetes with you. And this is a new doctor. This was the second time I'd met him. He had just taken over the practice. The first time I met him was because I had a weird mark on my face that just like showed up out of nowhere. And so we were discussing that. He didn't think there was anything to worry about. It went away. And then a few months later, I'm there talking about diabetes. So he ordered blood work, and a little less than a month later, he was like, yep, you have diabetes. But he just sort of brushed over it. He was like, yeah, so you have diabetes, so we'll put you on some meds. And then I said to him, can we just pause for a second? This is the first time I'm being told I have diabetes. To say that he was shocked is an understatement.
Yeah.
He stopped what he was doing because he was typing something on the computer. He stopped, turned, and looked at me and said, this is the first time you've never been told before? And I said, no, this is the first time that I've been told I have diabetes. And so at that point, he went into a very descriptive mode for me, helping me to understand what was happening, helping me to learn a little bit about what I was going to need to do. So we talked about weight loss and exercise and eating right and all that sort of stuff. And I had told him that I had already lost about 17 pounds at that point. But I don't know how to eat for diabetes. So I requested to speak to the dietitian. So we have a dietitian, like a diabetic dietitian at my practice. So he set me up with her. And this is, like, I have felt incredibly supported by this doctor. Maybe not the practice as a whole over the last 13 years, but this doctor has been incredibly supportive of me and has been helpful and has been encouraging. And there has never been with him, there has never been any sort of judgment, which is what I was worried about.
Yeah.
As a fat person, you go in and say, I think I have diabetes. You expect people to be like, of course you do.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the case. At that point, he put me on some medication. The way that the dietitian explained it to me is managing diabetes is like a triangle. You have to worry about what you're eating, you have to worry about exercise, and you have to worry about medication. And you find the right combination of those three things, and you will manage your diabetes. Only doing one or two of these things, you will not manage your diabetes well. I have started eating in a way that is healthy for a diabetic. That means lowering my carb intake because carbohydrates do turn into sugars, but it doesn't mean cutting them out. Our bodies need carbs. Yeah. Carbs are not the devil. They're not evil. What it means, though, for somebody who is wanting to eat in a way that would help lower their blood sugars is eating carbohydrates that are what's called a complex carb. I'm going to link a video here as well for you because there was a video that I watched about carbohydrates that really helped me understand the difference between simple carbs and complex carbs and what makes one better for your body versus the other. So we'll link that here for you if you're interested in watching it. So one of the main things you have to do is make sure that the carbs that you are eating are complex carbohydrates. But another very important part of it is pairing it with a protein. Protein helps to slow down your body breaking down the carbohydrates, which means that the sugars aren't released all at once, which means that you don't get a spike in your blood sugars. If they're released slowly, you feel full longer. You don't want to eat as much, and your body is still getting all of the sugars that it needs to survive. You know, it's not that I can't have a Starbucks Frappuccino anymore. It's that maybe I have it half sweet and I pair it with an egg bite. It's not that I can't have a piece of toast anymore. It's that I should pair toast with peanut butter instead of jam. I could put peanut butter and jam if I want, but the peanut butter, the protein is important. It's not that I can't have bananas anymore. It's pairing that with a protein. Maybe have bananas and some cheese. It's about reframing the way you think about how food works so that your body is releasing the sugars properly. The next part of the triangle is the exercise part. I have incorporated some walking into my regular routines. I'm not going to lie, exercise is the hardest part of the trifecta for me. The final part of the triangle is the medication part. When I was first diagnosed, my doctor wanted to put me on Jardiance, which I had no problem with. Mm-hmm. I did also ask him about Ozempic because my brother is on Ozempic and it is working very well for him. And he said, yep, let's just hit it with everything we've got. And he said, you're young and healthy. Yes, I am young and healthy. So he said, you're young and healthy. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get your A1C down under 6 with this triangle altogether. Like, diabetes is a serious disease. Mm-hmm. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're dead.
Yeah.
Sooner than you should be. Diabetes affects your body in loads of ways. There are all these little symptoms that when you actually say them in a list like this, you're like, oh yeah, I guess I did have diabetes symptoms, but I didn't realize that I did.
Yeah. Like for both of us, both our conditions are like, if you look at each symptom separately, it's not a big deal. But then if you put them all together, it's like, oh shit, no, there's actually something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually pretty serious.
Yeah. So moving forward with diabetes, like this is a condition that I'll have for the rest of my life. But at this point, I know I'm only a few months into knowing that I have diabetes, but at this point I feel very confident and I feel like I'm going to be able to control this and I'm going to be able to live my life still. It is hard. You don't always want to make the right choices, but life is about choices, right? So you make as many right choices as you can and take care of yourself. And hopefully in the long run, you do what's best for you and your body.
I have hypothyroidism. I don't know a lot about the different types of thyroidism. So there's hyper, and then there's hyper something or other. I only really know about what I've got.
You know, there's Hashimoto's
hypothyroid. Not familiar. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. So the thyroid is a gland in your neck and creates a hormone and essentially controls every system in your body, your weight, your mood, concentration, your energy, metabolism, everything. So as a person with hypothyroid, my thyroid gland does not secrete enough of the hormone. Okay. Symptoms that I've noticed, just like a lack of energy, complete lack of energy. I go to bed, I sleep 8 hours, I wake up and I'm just as exhausted as I was the night before. Mood swings, to say the least. Crying at the drop of a hat. Like I'm an emotional person by nature, but like it's been prevalent that I'm a little bit more emotional than I used to be. Weight gain. I've gained a significant amount of weight for myself, in my opinion, over the last two years. Hair loss. Yep. Thinning hair, just finding more hair in the shower than usual. Mental fatigue has been really prevalent for me lately. For just being really forgetful. I set up a routine for myself, and then unless I have it specifically written down step by step by step, I forget what I'm supposed to be doing. And then it's like, weren't you supposed to do that? And I was like, shoot, you're right, I was supposed to do that, and I totally forgot, and I'm very sorry. And I think that is kind of what triggered me to look into what's going on, because I was just getting so frustrated with myself. Now, having said that, when I was 18, I was first diagnosed with hypothyroidism. My mom has it. It tends to be a hereditary disease. But when I was in my mid-20s, I stopped taking my medication, and after some blood work, my doctor said I was fine, which shouldn't really be the case. Like, once you're on medication for hypothyroid, you're on it for life, because it's a hormone, like you're missing a hormone. So the medication is called levothyroxine or Synthroid, and it's just a synthetic hormone that you take. So I went to the doctor May 2021 just because I was tired and I was forgetful and I didn't feel good. And after some blood work, my doctor discovered that yes, my thyroid is out of balance. And I've been on medication for over a year and I don't feel any different. So talking to my doctor, you know, like, what food should I be avoiding? Like, there are certain stipulations. So for example, I can't have dairy for the first 4 hours after I take my medication. But he's like, no, just stop eating fried food so much and then you'll be fine. And I'm like, that's not really what I was hoping for from him. I was hoping to have more of an experience like Carleigh, where I was like, let's get you in with a dietitian and they can sit down with you and tell you, you know, what kind of things you should or should not be eating. And then I made the mistake and I went on Dr. Google.
Never go on Dr. Google.
Well, it's like, don't eat too high of fiber. You need fiber. Avoid iodine. Avoid soy. And it's like, okay, avoid. But then, does that mean I can't have soy ever again? Because your girl likes sushi. Soy sauce is a huge part of that. Am I going to have...
You can use tahini, right?
Coconut aminos, apparently, are very good. But it's like...
Ask Shannon. She knows.
I need to ask the guru of the allergies. But I've kind of got myself into this cycle of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to eat, so I'll just eat what I've been eating and it'll all be okay. So moving forward, I am looking for a new doctor. But in the meantime, unfortunately, it's just doing my own research and trying to figure out what looks like a good food situation. What can I eat? There are some things that I am supposed to avoid, like soy and iodine and
dairy for the first 4 hours.
Dairy for the first 4 hours. And it's like, do I go completely dairy free, or do I just, you know, bite the bullet and wait until lunchtime?
Yeah, and I've read something too about people with hypothyroidism or different thyroid conditions. Sometimes going gluten-free is helpful. But
right.
Do you really want to trust the internet?
Do I need to go gluten-free? Or there's certain types of vegetables, and I can't remember what the word is right now. Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach are things that I'm supposed to avoid. And it's like, okay, so then what else can I eat? And I go on YouTube and I see, you know, women, straight-sized women who have hypothyroid, who are on medication, and it's like, follow my diet. And it's like, but you don't have a degree. I don't trust you. Like, it's nice that you're putting this out there, but I don't trust you because I don't see the paper on the wall, and I need to see that, you know. I'm not going to just follow someone on YouTube, right? So,
but you should follow us.
Follow us because we're fun.
Not because we have medical degrees, because we don't.
No. Follow us because, like others, there's people out there with similar conditions to us who are also trying to figure out what life looks like now. As women in their mid to late 30s,
for now,
it's difficult to have to learn new things about yourself and implement them. Like, you don't think, you know, you're living your life in your 20s, whatever, you're fine. You feel like you've got yourself figured out. And then 10 years later, it's like, actually, you don't know yourself at all. This has all been the cause of, like, some disease you didn't know you had. And now you have to live your life completely different, right? And it's frustrating.
Thanks so much for watching and for listening to us as we shared our medical issues. We would love to hear if you've had similar experiences with your medical team, or if you've had good experiences. We would love to hear that even more, because we don't want you to have bad experiences.
No.
If there's anything that you want to share with us, we love reading your comments down below. So please comment, please like this video if you want to see more content like this. And we would love for you to subscribe so that you can join in on all of our crazy adventures. Thanks for watching. Bye.